box.
Hello and welcome to Con Air, the podcast. I am Mark Whole Wide World Hoffmeyer.
And I am Jay Magic Propeller Cluett, welcoming you aboard Con Air, the podcast for Chapter 36. On this show, Mark and I are flying our way through Con Air scene by scene with wonderful guests. This is Chapter 36. What happens in Chapter 36 of Con Air? Well, as the jailbird descends, Garland treats everyone to a soothing rendition, though he's got the whole world in his hands. Larkin issues a demand for anyone with medical skills to be on hand upon their arrival, and the plane takes out the Hard Rock Cafe sign before landing on the strip and heading straight for the sands. Swamp Thing exits the cockpit, followed by Poe, who is apprehended by a now conscious Cyrus. They are separated by a convenient passing propeller blade before the plane comes to a halt at the slot machines. So we had a guest to join us for this episode. Joining us today is someone who indirectly caused this podcast, I would say, because he founded the large association of movie blogs, The Lamb, which I became a part of. He then hosted the Lambcast, which I became a part of and took over, and subsequently then did Deep With Sea, the podcast, Funny Mark, and then On Air, the podcast. So without him, this show would not exist. So everyone has Dylan Fields to blame. Dylan, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. What hath I wrought is my question.
How many podcasts have you created from the Lamb? Everyone who's been on the Lambcast has started their own show, it feels like.
Listen, it's a great community. I was just thinking about what happened if the Lamb wouldn't be in my life. Like I wouldn't know a bunch of really cool people. Like
Likewise,
yeah.
it served its purpose as far as that goes. I mean, not so much anymore, but because I think everyone's off of Facebook, but like half my Facebook friends were Lamb people at one point, and so many people that I count as friends have never met for over a decade, including Jay.
There we go. Yes. But one place that you did meet a lot of those friends was at one of the first Lamb meetups in Vegas.
In Las Vegas.
And that's kind of why we put you on today's chapter, because you're a big Vegas guy, and wouldn't you know it, that's where the plane has just landed. So.
Well, it does kind of.
Vegas is trouble, y'all.
I've been one time.
Geography is trouble for the makers of Con Air, but we can get to that later.
I tried to make a map of Vegas based on this scene.
Recently on Twitter, Shay Serrano asked, like, what's your favorite trope in an action film? And my favorite trope in an action film happens in this chapter. When Poe's not looking.
Big thing hitting the slot machines.
Poe isn't looking. Cyrus the Virus could just shoot him. Done. But instead he goes, you know what? The last thing your daughter's gonna witness smells my breath. And it's just like,
before I kill you.
Stop hyping up the protagonist. Like Judgment Night, Emilio Estevez getting destroyed by Dennis Leary. And Dennis Leary's like, I'm going to go to your house and kill your family. And Emilio's like, no, you're not. Then he goes, Emilio, and takes out Dennis Leary. Like in so many movies, like, you know what? I'm going to kill you. Then I'm going to kill that little dog of yours. And then the guy's like, no. So I love that trope where the antagonist has the protagonist dead to rights, but then they threaten a family member or animal. And then the protagonist rallies like the ultimate warrior.
Because it will matter to the protagonist when they're dead. They will know.
It's just like, guys, like
I feel like it's actually necessary in this film though. There's a lot, like Cyrus likes to think of himself as being this really smart guy, really planned out. But the last few insults and comebacks he's had have been awful. The last thing he said was like, what? And then get hit in the face by a gun and knocks out. And he had the pretty clever, right? No, that's clever. Like, they're not good comebacks. So he's gone back to his pre-prepared line of the last thing she'll smell is my stinking breath.
That's true.
He's trying to claw back any kind of dignity and intelligence to all of his cronies who may have been drifting away from him because he's bad at comebacks.
Did he practice that in the mirror?
100%. This is one of the ones he's had prepared.
What do you think? What are some other lines do you think he workshopped?
That Cyrus workshopped? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm curious though. Jay just mentioned all his cronies. They weren't present to hear this line. So who's he really getting the dignity back from?
Guys, did you hear that? No, the plane was crashing into a Las Vegas casino.
Isn't Johnny 23 right there? Because he's the one who's like, yo, Cyrus, wake up this whole chapter.
Does he have arms?
I feel
still?
like he's nearby. He does. He still has arms at the end of the chapter.
Okay.
Which I had always thought that blade spinning through the fuselage took off his arm for next week, but it doesn't because it's still intact, or it hasn't quite severed yet. I don't know, but it still appears to be intact when we last see him.
A few tendons are hanging on.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
in movies when someone gets their head cut off and it hangs on for 5 seconds and then it falls off. That's the same thing
Those are
with
the
his arms.
best.
Same thing with his arms.
Yeah, Toby Stevens in Severance.
Wait, what happens to Toby Stevens and Severance?
In Severance, he has not the TV show, the film with Danny Dyer in it. There's a whole running thing where he has a theory that if your head gets cut off, it's still alive for like 7 seconds, and he gets his head cut off, and he manages to go like a "yeah, I was right" little grin before he dies.
That's good to know.
I
Future
mean,
reference.
I guess that's making lemon out of, when life hands you a lemon, you make lemonade. I
Yeah,
guess that's when
I
life
was right.
decapitates you.
Yeah.
You just tell everyone you were right. Wow.
Yeah, that's a.
It's like the Omega 13, but for heads getting chopped off,
Sure.
kind of.
I just say, I guess you're right. My stinking breath. Like, I wonder if he's like my putrid breath. No, that's too much. My odious breath. No.
Because he
come on.
had like he had all these like ultimatums of like the what is it the flies on my rotting corpse or something. He's had earlier in the film. He's got a bunch of these things he's got saved up. And
I
this
love
is
that
the last one.
he's become so much more fallible in the last few chapters, getting knocked out, saying cheesy lines. Like, I love it. It's fun.
Wasting good opportunities. Yeah.
Like, just take care. Like, but I think in the action world universe, killers, it's physically impossible for villains to kill the hero until they've monologued or said, "Hey, you," or lectured them before they killed them. I think, like in last action hero, there's just, in this world, there's just a trope where you can't kill the protagonist until you've said a speech or threatened him. You can't just shoot him in the back of the head.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Has that ever happened in a movie where a hero's gotten just wiped out and you're like,
Yes,
wait,
but it wasn't that kind of an action movie.
But like, yeah, actually, like executive decision,
Departed.
right? Oh yeah, yeah, that was a good one.
It always
There
feels
we
like it's like going against the trope when that happens, where it's like a surprise, it's a jump scare, whereas making a parody.
I mean, there's just not a lot of action movies where the protagonist is killed towards the end or the middle or even the beginning, unless it's some kind of flashback situation. So yeah, the few times where it does happen without, well, where it does happen at all is one thing, and where it happens without some kind of dramatic monologue is probably very, very, very few and far between.
It's like
So of
John
course,
McClane.
the inverse is Deep Blue Sea, where the hero gets the monologue and then gets taken out by the villain, the shark.
Whoa, that's Jay. That should have been your high school yearbook quote. I really should have.
I thought the sharks were the heroes of Deep Blue Sea movies.
I mean, yeah, they are the prisoners.
I mean, we've argued that.
Yeah, because they haven't done anything wrong. There's like, let me out of here, y'all.
The prison break.
You made us.
It's not my fault you made me a genius.
You did this to me.
We're gonna
I learned it from you.
Is now a good time for me to back up just a second? I have an admission to make.
Sure, you hate Con Air.
Well, that's a different admission. No, I have never gotten into or listened or participated in a by the minute or chapter podcast.
Sure.
So I'm wondering, you're pretty far into this one. I assume there's approximately 40 chapters of this film.
That's how we broke it down. There's like 18 on the DVD, but that wasn't enough. 40, it turns out, was too many.
So
30.
Outside of
23.
Outside of masochism, because you love torturing yourselves by frame breakdowns, what are we going for here?
Like, listen, the one thing I love about Deep Blue Sea and Con Air is I've talked to people I never would have met ever before. And also, I think there's a skill in being able to stretch out a minute or 3 minutes into an hour. I think there's orals, like, I think you learn how to.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, I think you learn how to talk, you learn how to end, then you learn how to like dig into the chapter deeper to look for things. You learn a lot about the movie because typically when you do these things, you don't watch. When you watch a movie, you just take notes and you enjoy it. But when you do it minute by minute, you're like, I need content. So you look at the miniatures. Like right now, they're selling the miniatures online for like $3,000, $300, like a bunch of different props you can buy from Con Air. Like reading about the special effects, the actors. It's been fun. Like I think it challenges you to sort of, come up with something which I like. I like the challenge of it. 40's too much, but we're in it, so we're gonna finish it.
It's too late now.
But
Okay.
I mean,
I
I
can,
don't know. We've met really cool people, and we've had some
Yeah,
fun
sure.
conversations. So, I think that's why. Like, I think this is kind of just I like the challenge actually. I really do.
And yeah, we started with Deep Blue Sea, and that's just a film that Mark and I both love, and both kind of found out each other loved, and thought, hey, let's just talk about Deep Blue Sea every week for 35 straight weeks
It was easy.
because we love it. And then like, oh, there's a second one, let's do that, and a third one, let's do that, and then let's just talk about films similar to that. And it's just we like talking about these films. We're like doing, if anything, doing Con Air has shown us is we miss talking about Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah.
it has
Yeah.
come up just a bit in the last 10 minutes or
Sure.
so.
Yeah. Oh no, we definitely miss Deep Blue Sea. But listen, like, we're almost there. So we accepted the challenge. Like, you gotta step up and deliver. People listen to this, so it's cool. And I mean,
Blame the Star Wars mini guys. Blame Pete and
Now,
Alex for all that.
now, what percentage of your, for lack of a better term, content would you say is mockery versus earnest love?
I don't do much mockery. I don't like
I do a
mockery.
little. I do a little.
Is that
Mockery
not
is-
possible?
Mockery is just that's not who I am. And I'm not a good mocker. I'm not
Is
good
that
at
not
it.
what we were doing by dissecting Cyrus's speech? Is that not
No, I think
a
there's more
form of
taught. I think that's more
loving
taught.
mockery?
Well, we've gotten to know the character, so I think we're exploring him. I don't think we're
Yeah, like-
mocking the choices.
Over the course of this exploration into the film, we've kind of found out he's not the big intelligent guy that he was out to be. I'd always thought, oh yeah, he's just like one of those extra smart villains, but no, he's not. He's bad at comebacks. So it's a critique.
and I have no time for irony. I I don't want to watch
Well,
anything ironically. I don't have any
may-
time.
Maybe
wanna-
maybe it's my own perception, or maybe it's just the films chosen, but they're the kind of films I think you have to kind of lovingly laugh at. Is that a fair assessment?
No. I think
Okay.
Deep Blue Sea is an actual good film. I think this, for what it is a really good action film. You have to look them in the context. Like, I don't think everything should be looked at as, this was meant to be a big summer tentpole action film. And so I look at it like that. Like, I'm not, this isn't 2001, or, I'm not treating this as importantly as like an Inception, but I mean, it has like Nicolas Cage, the choices he made. Like, I like all these choices. And like Deep Blue Sea, I think, is a very effective creature feature that features special effects from Walt Conti and Jim Cunningham, a guy who's blown up everything on screen to all the explosions. Rennie Harlan kills people so hard. So I think it's just fun to talk about. And like, I don't know, for me, there's so much out there already about the greats that I think it's more fun to talk about Deep Blue Sea 2 and 3 and Con Air, bring something new into the equation that people want to hear about. So that's why I dig it. Like, I love Back to the Future, but there's already like 8 of those shows. So,
And that's Back to the Future minute. But Deep Blue Sea 2, I feel like, was a film where there was a little bit more mockery. Not mockery, but we had a bit more fun talking about it, because it's a lower budget film and they did what they could with the budget, but some of the choices they made were a little silly. And so we had a little bit more fun with it. That's kind of the middle ground. On Air, Deep Blue Sea, I agree with Mark that these are incredible films that I just enjoy every moment of. And we praise them. We like to praise them. And some of our guests have disliked them. TJ Valentine is not a fan of either of these films and waited till he was on the show to tell us he hated both of these films. He and his family walked out of Deep Blue Sea when Sam Jackson got killed. They were there for a Sam Jackson film. He died, so they left.
Well, that's it. Time to go.
Yep. That's what I think. That's what the
Exactly
dad
how it
said.
went.
Yeah, he's like, all right, well, I'm gone.
He
I'm
went
going to
home.
Sphere.
Yeah, he survived that
Okay.
one. But yeah, we legitimately like these films.
So you would not place either of those films in the same bucket as a Fast Five?
I mean, what do you mean?
I don't know. Just
What bucket is
Tonally-
Fast Five in for you?
I mean, I love Fast
ridiculous
Five.
action movie.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
mean,
but ridiculous, but fun and great.
Yes.
Yes, we would put it in the same bucket as that, I would say.
Con Air as Fast Five. Let me see.
I mean, you can't say Fast Eight and you can't say Fast One. I don't think. I
mean-
think just tonally it doesn't jive with either of those extremes.
I mean, I
But
guess you have
maybe
Prison
a 4
Escapes.
or a 5 is
Yeah,
in the
Prison
same
Escapes.
ballpark.
Yeah, I think so. I think same bucket.
A bus explodes. Vin's ripped out from jail. They're on the run. They're chased by the cops on a chase scene at the end, like this one in a fire truck.
I think I just compartmentalize action movies into different buckets where I can enjoy them equally, but I respect them differently, if that makes sense.
What are some examples of that?
Okay, well, like my pinnacle of action movies outside of a pretty standard Die Hard is another McTiernan, is Predator. I would put Predator up as one of the all-time best
Knew you were
action
going
films.
there.
What's that? You knew I was going there.
Yeah, I knew we were going for Predator.
And that is a film that I could not place in the same bucket mentally as a Deep Blue Sea, even though you might draw several parallels. I think one is just on a whole different level in terms of skill and effectiveness.
But I feel like you could quite easily do a show like this and mock Predator, mock some decisions in Predator, like how silly some of the characters come off. Like with Jesse Ventura is
they don't
a
to me.
ridiculous character.
There's lots of looking into the jungle.
I mean, yes, I think you could find stuff, but I think it's a lot easier to like Con Air. I is all-time ridiculous for me. It's just, and it's not to disparage the skill that goes into it, especially when you're talking about things like miniatures. I love that kind of work, but you can't watch it with half a brain turned on because there's so much that wants to beat you over the head with ridiculousness.
You can't watch Con Air with half a brain.
With half a brain, with more than half a brain turned on. Otherwise, you're just going, well, that doesn't make sense, or that.
But like,
what's happening there?
When you watch these movies, though, like I don't look at it as like this wouldn't happen in our world. Like this is the Con Air world. This happens there. Like I don't think they ever are trying to say that. Like when people, like I guess one thing that always gets to me is when people watch this thing and they're like, let's see, a marine biologist watches Jaws and complains about it. It's like this isn't real. Like this is this world where that works. So you kind of have to watch the world and take it on those merits. Like
the hotels in the Vegas Strip aren't in this order in the real world, but they are in the film.
Which is where I was going to go.
Yeah. So I you can't look at it as like, oh, and that's unbelievable. It's like you look in the context of the movie and like, is it believable within the context of this movie? Because if you compare everything to the real world, no movie would ever hold up.
But are there no rules then?
But I mean, it's what the rules are in this movie. Like, why? Like, I guess I don't put my expectations on a movie. I just watch the movie and I see what it gives me based on the world that it's in. I don't try to like, this is what I think should be. And if it's not, I think that's unbelievable. I just sort of let the experience wash over me. And then if I have to analyze it later, I will. But I mean, I don't think this movie ever thought like, hey, should we be close to like real life? Like should we like really stick to the rules of the world? Like I don't think that's totally necessary.
This is a different Nick Cage Vegas film than Leaving Las Vegas. They are made very differently.
Yeah.
It's I mean the main part of this one is, are you entertained when you watch it? Is like, are you having a good time? And I absolutely am, yes. Is it a silly decision to put all these cons on the plane and send them and not have any contingency plan for if things go wrong? Yeah, that's silly, but then you need something to go wrong for the film to happen.
Like I think if you continuously compare movies to like classics, there aren't that many, and it's really hard to make an all-timer movie, just like it is in basketball, where it's like really hard in the NBA to. I think Wilt Chamberlain did it to score over 100 points. Like if you compare every game of basketball to his game where he scored over 100 points, that's such an anomaly of a game. That's not fair to be like, oh, that dude put up 50 points. It's not as good as that 100-point game though. Like I think it's really hard to say like compare Deep Blue Sea to Jaws, which people have done, or Deep Blue Sea to Jurassic Park. Those movies are just rarefied, like happy accidents made by very intelligent people who worked hard and did it. I'm not going to call it an accident, but I think I can't sit here and watch Con Air and be like, well, it's not as good as Die Hard, because nothing is really as good as Die Hard.
Yeah, that's no fun.
And there's just not that many all-timer classics. There's not that many all-timers. So I don't like with any sport too, like, oh, you scored six goals last game, but you only scored 4 this time. Well, that's not as good. So for me, I respect the classics, but I also think it's every movie's going to flop. Like, not every movie's not going to be as good as Die Hard. So it's really hard to be like, oh, well, it's all right, but it's no Die Hard. But I mean, like, what is? So I think for me, it's once again just going back to context. And like Simon West was a music video director. Jerry Bruckheimer is an Uber producer. You have John Malkovich, Nicolas Cage, Steve Buscemi, Ving Rhames, John Cusack, a who's who of character actors, and in a quite a big, loud, bombastic action film that I think for what it is does well. And no, it's not Die Hard, but what else is? So that's the way I look at this movie. Like, was it a summer blockbuster that was fun and unique? And look at Nicolas Cage's accent. It's so out there, but like I think he did it earnestly. So I have a hard time being like, oh, his accent sucks. So it's just more about, does it have personality? Will people like it in 20 years? People still dig this flick. So that's the way I look at it.
So I've just watched Turbulence for the first time. I'd never seen it before. Same year, same plot in parts with Ray Liotta, and we want to talk about a terrible Southern accent. I had no idea Brendan Gleeson was A, in that film, and B, playing Southern American. That's a film that doesn't have the personality of this one. That's a dark, gritty, like murder setup scene from Texas Chainsaw Massacre on a plane that I did not like anywhere near as much as this one. That I would have a lot of difficulty finding good things to talk about 20, 30, 40 weeks worth. Con Air, it's not been a struggle. We just really like talking about this film. But I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's get into the chapter. It's like the reason I watched Turbulence was because I think we can all agree, we may disagree on Con Air, but I think we can all agree the Razzies are awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, Razzies terrible, garbage.
They nominated a 14-year-old girl for Best Actress.
Sure. Worst actress.
Worst actress.
Yeah.
Worst,
so Con Air was nominated for and won the Razzie in '97 for the worst reckless disregard for human life and public property, which I think is related to this scene, the crash into Vegas. Makes sense, I think. So it beat out Batman and Robin. Yes, true. It beat out Batman and Robin, which has been ages since I've seen it, so I can't remember. Now, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, which is in my head, Turbulence, and Volcano, both of which I've watched in the past week. This award should have gone to Volcano.
Yeah.
So much is destroyed in Volcano. Turbulence takes out like a part of a hotel and the landing gear of a plane. That shouldn't even be on the list. The Lost World, Jurassic Park, they kind of take out a dock with a boat at the end. There's the T-Rex rampaging around. That's about it. And then they drop a trader off a cliff. Batman and Robin, who knows? Volcano takes out so much stuff. They blow up a new building as a dam. It's hundreds of thousands of people die. Stars everywhere. This film
is it reckless?
I mean,
it is a disaster film.
It is without wreck. It is, the volcano does not care what it's doing. The lava is wanton abandon. This film, so in this crash here, I worked out what was taken out. So the Hard Rock Cafe, big neon guitar sign, taken out. That one lamppost, one car being driven, about 10 palm trees, which I think are fake, outside of the Oasis hotel, the Oasis neon sign, another car. There's some mild damage to a parking sign where the parking sign survives, the wing of the plane gets taken out. So that's a robust parking zone. And then the plane gets destroyed, and the front of the Sands Casino essentially is taken out. And a few more cars. That's like, yeah, things get destroyed, but this isn't an award that the Razzies give out every year. This is an award that seems like they gave out this year because of Con Air, because that's who awarded it to. That, to me, isn't enough to warrant a new award.
Yeah,
it's like a standard action scene element.
It's not Man of Steel insanity.
Exactly.
Like The Rock had that crazy car chase that just destroyed so many people. Like this,
that was just written in from nowhere. It was completely unnecessary.
And the reason being, Jay, is because Swamp Thing is an amazing pilot. Yeah. He landed that plane on the Vegas Strip in a perfect spot to kill.
He knew the Sands was being destroyed. Yeah. He knew they're going to take it down anyway.
To kill the least amount of people. That's how good Swamp Thing's the MVP of this movie, and that's how good of a pilot he is.
I would say one confirmed death in the crash, not anyone on the plane, where there was one car that is moving that blows up. So that car presumably had a driver, and that driver is no longer with us. But everyone else gets out of the way miraculously.
Listen, it's just a street filled with stunt people, and they can move fast.
There's a stuntman convention in Vegas that weekend.
Imagine that. There's a bunch of people gracefully flying out of the way. But yeah, I mean, I guess no one wants to see, because listen, if this plane takes out a bus, a tour bus, a line of pedestrians crossing the street, and just blood flies everywhere and entrails are everywhere, Cusack's gonna look really bad. Like, people are gonna watch this movie differently. Like, maybe they should have shot this movie down, or this plane down, over the desert. Maybe
I mean,
they
that's what
should.
Cole Meany and his pilots say. I feel like there should be some line later on where Cusack's like, "See, it was fine shooting it down over landing in Vegas. No one died.
Oh,
Told you it'd be
remember,
okay, Malloy."
remember in Bad Boys 2 and Fast Five? We can go back to that. In Bad Boys 2, there's that gigantic gunfight and car chase. And on the news, they're like, no cops were killed and no pedestrians were killed during this cop chase. And then in Fast Five, they flipped the bus 47 times. And the news report goes, everyone survived, but one person escaped, and that's Dom Toretto. So I think that's one of these instances where it's a stuntman convention. Swamp Thing's amazing. Vince Larkin knew it.
There are quite a few shots where it's just debris and explosion, and it's really kind of hard to tell what's going on. They might be brushing over some of the carnage
Like
and
there's a
deaths.
propeller that spins out, like the propeller attaches from the plane, spins out, and then somehow does a turn and goes back into the plane. Don't worry about that. And that kind of spins off screen. That had to land somewhere, possibly in somebody, but we don't know. It's unclear. It's unconfirmed. If it's unconfirmed, everyone survived. Like there are two prisoners who went completely missing. They were there at Carson City and never seen again. So we assume that they ran away. They survived. They didn't die in that big shootout. They are on the lam. They're out there running away. Everything's fine. Everyone's got a happy ending.
You guys did a map of Vegas. How far did this plan go on the strip?
It depends what world you're in.
In this world, how far do you think the plane went?
The problem is it goes in opposite directions, and you're not going to be able to see my map, but well, for starters, the first time we get a shot of the plane, it's flying north because the stratosphere is on our right. And our second shot, it's going south.
It's going, if the stratosphere is on our right, it's over the strip. So it is coming.
The stratosphere is on the west side of the road, and we see the plane coming towards us with the stratosphere on our right. The plane's left.
Okay, sure.
The next shot, we see it's traveling south. We have the stratosphere on our right. We're behind the plane. Yeah. And then we get to the Hard Rock, which is just chef's kiss of continuity. The Hard Rock, what used to be the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, not on the strip at all. Yeah. It is about 3 miles away. And we get a shot of it taking off the guitar.
Because it looks cool.
Which is fine. But then we get another shot where we can still see the frets of the guitar as the plane is traveling south, and we see more of the strip kind of in the background. They have literally moved the Hard Rock Casino onto the strip for that shot.
Well, because the Hard Rock that they destroy is a model, so it's easy to move. It's quite small. You just pick it up.
They just move the whole casino miles away. And then we get a whole lot of this, where it's like it's
up and down, up down.
The plane is mostly traveling south, but at a certain point it's traveling east, and then it's traveling. It must travel north to get back to the sands, and then it's traveling east again when it's crashing into the sands.
I like that it clearly flies past the Circus, which is the one I stayed at when I was in Vegas about 20 years ago.
Me too. That was my first hotel I stayed at when I went there.
Only time I've ever been. I was like 15. Didn't do anything in Vegas. Just awful time to be in Vegas. But I did the roller coaster on top of the Strap. That's about all I did, and some of the stuff in the Circus. So it flies past the Circus. When it lands outside the Circus. There's a big clown face, which I think is that big clown mask. I think is this.
It's not landing by Circus. No, it's landing by the sands is currently, I believe, it's the Palazzo.
which one has the giant, horrifying clown face outside the front of it then? So I thought that. So I tried to find it online. And it looked like that was the Circus Circus, but like
That
this
would
doesn't
be Circus
play up.
Circus.
So I don't think it actually landed there. But I think they wanted to have a shot of it just sort of taxiing past this big
Yes,
clown face
which
because
it
that
does.
looks cool.
It
Yeah.
it kind of, if you go by the flight of the plane in the film, it kind of hovers over the same spot more or less for a long time, and even lands there with other shots kind of bouncing around. But then it kind of ends up.
When the wings get taken off, like one wing gets taken off of a parking sign, and then a bunch of stuff happens, and the other wing gets taken off in the exact same location. So they're having some fun with editing. So
I must have forgotten. Was there a point where the brakes get taken out? Because I'm always just kind of amazed, having watched this scene several times, at how far it's just on the ground for and not slowing down.
The brakes have not been discussed at any point. We know that they were out. They lost an engine somehow. That just the engine just was smoking without being hit at any point, and they didn't fuel up enough. Carson City. That's right at the Lunar Airfield.
Swamp Thing knew there was a lake. He knew it would slow him down.
Whatever it's going to take.
He knew he wanted to slow down in a lake, not on pedestrians' bodies. And so he just aimed and hit the gas, and that thing rolled down the strip. I mean,
I do like how they pitch the strip as being this road that ends in a casino, which is not. That's not the strip. The Sands is off to the side, like all of them are. The strip, the road keeps going. We're out of road.
The loss would have been catastrophic, Jay, if it really landed on the strip. Also, Nicolas
Cage
might have been on the
way.
strip.
What are you talking about?
Nicolas Cage might have been on the strip.
I mean,
he lives out there.
Had they actually gone with it landing on the strip and just keep going straight, they would have gotten really close to the airport. Because I imagine this is addressed in the film, and I just don't recall it. But the Las Vegas airport is literally like a mile from the main part of the strip.
He said he couldn't
There's
make
a line early in this scene where Cusack's talking to a guy who's like, "Do they make it to the airport?" And the guy's like, "No." So it's covered.
Listen, this is Earth 1997.
The airport is somewhere.
They
There
were
is an
so
airport in Vegas.
they were so close.
Yeah.
When they were at the Hard Rock, they were literally like 500 yards from the.
I want a Doctor
they were going
Strange
down
moment
pretty
to see
sharply,
all the different Con Air worlds and what Nicolas Cage looks like in all of them. And
Where's he from in each one?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, in one of them, in the original script, they crash into the White House. That was the first draft. But then they say like that didn't feel right. But also, I feel like Independence Day happened.
Beat them to the punch.
Right. I will say though,
that's a long way to fly as well. Going from California to DC is a lot further to go than from California to Vegas.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
And they're trying to escape to Canada rather than South America, I guess. But they're going the wrong way to do it.
I do think 96, 97, 98, they had a lot of just tacked on endings. Like Face Off was the boat chase. I always forget about the boat chase in Face Off. I don't know why, but whenever I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a boat chase.
And then the train.
What?
Oh yeah.
The train
subway
in Speed.
Oh yeah, the train in Speed. I just talked about that on the Speed Minute, and I forgot about it when you brought it up. Yeah, so there's the train, there's the casino, then there's still a fire truck chase coming up. So I think
you remembered
the 90s were like, just listen, y'all, we need to rewrite. Let's just toss. We need something else. Like let's land something on something. Like boat. Do we have a boat chase? Face Off did it. Okay. Do we have a train? Speed did it. Do we have a plane on a runway? Executive Decision did that. Okay. Well,
snowmobile.
Can we land a plane on snowmobiles? Well, Die Hard 2 had snowmobiles and planes. We can't do that. What about on jet skis? I think I saw that in Speed 2. And you're like, let's just land it on the strip. And then you're like, okay.
Fire truck.
Yeah. I think that's. Has there ever been a?
There's a checklist of all the vehicles that they're just going through.
Yeah.
Zeppelin.
Zeppelin, Rocketeer.
Yep. We've had Zeppelins.
Can't do that.
Indiana Jones.
Ride on lawnmower.
Waterboy.
It's a straight story.
Yeah. Have you not seen Straight Story?
Rooster, an action classic.
Are you saying that there should be a lawnmower chase at the end of this? No.
Sure.
A riding lawnmower chase. High tension.
Imagine that. Ving Rhames, MC Gainey, and John Malkovich on three
All on the
souped-up
same,
rider
all on the
lawnmowers.
same one.
All in the
From
same
one-
one. And Cusack and Cage each have their own lawnmowers. And
Yeah,
they're fast though. Go-karts.
I'd hope so.
We did have a lawnmower fight scene in Point Break.
I do not
Lawnmower-
remember
Oh, did
that.
someone pick up a lawnmower and swing it?
No, there's a fight scene that's adjacent to someone mowing a lawn.
Oh
and
yeah.
there's
Lawnmowers
a
are called
push
for.
push the face next to the spinning blades because it was an old school lawnmower or something.
Oh, and have you not seen Lawnmower Man?
Of course.
Like, they don't want to remind us of that. So lawnmowers are
No.
out, jet skis are out,
Hey.
snowmobiles are out, ATVs are out, go-karts.
There must have been a go-kart action scene. That has to have happened.
Banana boats are gone.
Jaws 4, yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Pontoons.
When you said
I was
ATVs,
just about to say pontoon. Another high speed tension.
yeah, hovercraft.
Star Wars.
So I heard on the podcast, you know the 8080.
Yeah.
I'm fine with any way you pronounce an 8080 until I heard recently somebody called it an ATAT. That's I cannot get on board with that.
Yeah, an
I don't know what
An
Yeah, the
ATAT, you mean?
ATAT, fine. 8080, fine. All-terrain armored transport, fine. ATAT, I'm in a fury.
Wait, ATAT?
ATAT, ATAT.
T-A-T. Like
Yes, A
ATAT.
space TAT, ATAT is how it was said, and I seething that happened. I don't know what it is, but that's just wrong.
That seems to be, they're trying to be provocative.
Uh,
Because there's a dash.
But it was
between
it was on another podcast. It was just glossed over. It wasn't referenced. Didn't get back to it. The co-host didn't even pick up on it. I'm just listening. Like skip back to they say that ATAT.
It's
Yeah,
either
oh my
someone
god.
being edgy or ignorant of the dash.
I think the second.
I do love when people call 7N. That makes me happy.
Fantastic.
Wait, what?
The Fantastic Four. The Josh.
Oh,
Trank,
Fanforstic, yes.
Fantastic. Yeah.
When? What?
You know the Fantastic Four that's got like
Oh,
Jamie
there's a
Bell
four
and
in there.
Todd- yeah.
Fanforstic.
Yeah, it's it's fantastic.
So Seven is indeed great, and
Yeah.
how we should all honestly pronounce it.
So 7N. So like it's like 5 cream, but I need to think of a vehicle that could work, that could be plausible for these guys in Vegas. Not sports
Are there like
cars.
little cleaning carts in the casinos? Do they have like any kind of
like
The
golf
giant
carts?
pushing vacuum that we see like in in Vegas Vacation. They use it
or
there.
a
That was
balloon
after
car from
this.
Ocean's 11? He's a balloon boy.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
if it was later, you've got the whatever. I can't even think of what they're called. The standing walkie things.
Party bus. Party bus.
Yeah, or a limo. There must be limos in Vegas.
True Lies had a good
People
limo
on-
scene.
Stag do's.
What do you think, Jay? Party bus?
I think party bus. I've never seen an action scene with a party bus. So you'd have Ving Rhames, Malkovich, and Swamp Thing in a party bus.
Yeah, like
What
total
a
eclipse of the
Cusack!
heart.
What a Cusack and Poe chasing them on. They can't chase them on a party bus.
Party cycles.
Party, fine. Let's invent
No.
a party, a party
Have you-
tandem.
Have you ever, like in Nashville, there's a guy, it's like people riding bicycles, but they can drink. And so like there's riding around town having drinks while riding around on this bicycle machine. John Cusack and
Is that-
Nicolas Cage are on that.
Is that one of those ones where you have like all of you are like facing each other and you're all pedaling like different directions? It somehow goes to forward motion.
Yeah.
Fine. Party. What's like a bloody
Party cycle.
party?
The orchestration to
yeah.
get everybody onto that might seem a little awkward in the film. Okay,
That's
we're off
that's
the
how they're
plane.
going to try and transfer the cons next time is on one of those. It's safer than flying them somewhere.
Well, think about this.
Quick,
You-
Grab
you-
your spots on the bike.
you have a flight and you just get your cons plowed. Like here, drink Jaeger. Here's 7 shots.
Oh, a plow. That would work.
Yeah.
Liam Neeson did it.
Yeah, he did it. Rob Roy.
I missed that
Jay,
part of Rubber Roy.
Like just give all the cons
Full pursuit.
a plastic bottle of Goldschlager and they'll be asleep
Yep,
in an
sure.
hour. And if they do take over the plane, they'll be so just inebriated and uncoordinated. They're not, I mean, they might get a little riled up because of the booze, but they could be
I mean, you
sleeping
could
too.
just sedate them. What do you shell out for about a Goldschlager each? Made of money.
Well, I mean, you got to hire someone to sedate him, though.
Let's get some Nitol.
They can't ride the bike if they're too heavily
Are you saying
sedated,
like
Jay.
NyQuil? Have him drink NyQuil, but that could get him.
Yeah,
that
sure.
could get him too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Bottles of NyQuil for all the passengers.
Yeah, like basically just roofie them and then head off.
How long is the flight? How long does this last? All right, do a couple circles around the airport before the cops pick them up.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, Vince Larkin, you've run 45 flights and no cons have ever gotten off. What's your secret? We just know what we're doing. And like a bottle of NyQuil falls out of his pocket. Well, it's for me. I'm Cusack. I'm tired.
Just can't sleep at night.
I'm thinking about Cusack thinking about all the world's problems.
Yeah, no one's buying my sandals. So many problems in the world.
I did an episode about serendipity for the Movie Stones and Flakes pod, and I came across his interviews again about Con Air. He's like, I wanted to be the guy that was quoting Nietzsche and wearing sandals. Like, I wanted to buck the trend. It's awesome, Cusack, because everyone cared in that one.
So I don't know. I'm going to guess that Buscemi's Golan Green is probably your favorite character in this. Would that be correct? Or amongst one of the highlights of the film? No?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It's more off-putting. I think this film gets away with a lot because of its beloved cast. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
They cast the greatest hits of character actors from the early to mid 90s. So all these people that you love from all these other films and put them in morally dubious situations where you should be doing nothing but rooting for them, but you find yourself liking them, right? Like why would people like Steve Buscemi's character in this?
I like movies
singing.
like this because, like, while you're sleeping, if you think about Sandra Bullock in that movie, that's really odd. Like, she has a crush on a guy, he falls into a coma, then she says she's the fiance, then she falls in love with the brother. But the whole time you're like, oh, she's just so sweet. It's Sandy B. Like,
it's Sandy B.
And then you think about it years later, and you're like,
she's a creeper. If she was played by someone less, if she was less likable, that would have just come across as a horror film.
If it was the lady from who's that lady from the beginning of Pulp Fiction with Tim Roth, and she's like
Amanda Plummer.
Plummer. If it was Amanda Plummer, and while you were sleeping, it would be a different
different movie.
Yeah, but like I always love it when characters play like you're just sort of like, hey, I like Buscemi's
the wonders of good-looking people.
Yeah, but also, who's your favorite character in this movie then? Who's your avatar? If you have like a HBO Max and you have to pick one Con Air character to be your avatar, who do you pick?
Michael T. Williams.
Bubba? Baby Odell?
I don't know. Right, it's just process. It's process of elimination of who do I not want to. I don't want to be the rapist. I don't want to be the criminal master.
Wait, you don't want
to be? Don't really want to be Nick Cage. Cole Meany is a relentless prick. It just goes on and on.
All right, I like it. You pick Baby Odell.
Sure. He's one of the few likable characters in the film.
Like, because I think they keep him the most one-dimensional. I need my morphine.
They all have one dimension. Who are you kidding?
Yeah. I need my insulin.
Oh yeah, we get one brief shot of him, and that's where he's being tended to by Rachel Dakota.
Yeah, stay with me. Stay with me.
What crimes did MC Gainey commit?
Swamp Thing. So it's unconfirmed in the film, but listening to an interview that he did, he says that he was like a drug runner who landed in the wrong place.
I could go for him. I
mean, we love Swamp Thing.
Another example of a beloved character actor. I can't hate myself some MC Gainey.
Yeah, he's the best. Like just in this scene here when he's like having so much fun. Like, whoa, as they're coming down.
Listen, if I had a business, I would hire him and then quickly regret it. But he does the flying, he gets rid of the transponder, he pulls the plane out, he has the tractor, he does all the ropes, he actually flies, he takes the plane off in a sandstorm, he lands it like almost before it can blow up into propane. He lands two planes almost perfectly in this movie.
And he walks away to pilot a fire truck. He can
And he
do
gets-
anything.
and he gets turned into a fish tank. Like that's, I want that. You know what? I want an MC Gainey fish tank. Like you just put his little figure in there with the fish tank, and he just floats around. I could put that in my office. That'd be a great figure. I need that.
Things that only you will enjoy.
Someone comes over, Mark, what's that? Well, so in the Con Air movie, at the end there's a fire truck chase and Swamp
How long
Thing.
have you got?
He gets kind of put in an aquarium from John Cusack. And so when you look at this, like it's him floating. See, that's MC Gainey. That's Sideways and Club Dreads. MC
Wait, come
Gainey.
back. Where are you going? I haven't finished the explanation.
His car starts and wheel, he's out of there.
Now I'm picturing MC Gainey staring at your MC Gainey aquarium and all the menagerie of MC Gainey characters, figures that you've placed at the bottom of this, and even he is running out of the building.
I have his wardrobe.
He's trying, but he's been tied up and gagged, and now he's part of the collection. So.
While MC Gainey was sleeping.
What's a better singing song? Like what's a better plane song? A song that's sung while a plane is supposedly crashing. What, Tiny Dancer and Almost Famous?
Yeah, Tiny Dancer.
Whole Wide World.
that's the two. There is a song sung
Sugar,
in plane
we're
crashes.
going down. Actual
Yeah.
ones, I don't
We're
know.
going down. Oh, I like that.
That's a fast song to get everyone to get on board with singing. I think and get that going in tune.
What, Tiny Dancer?
No, Sugar We Like Going Down Swinging.
Are they singing a song in Alive? Guessing
I
not.
haven't seen it. I haven't seen it live.
Just eat
Is Tom Hanks humming in Castaway when he goes there?
it. Tom Hanks, he's the Forrest Gump theme. I don't know what the Forrest Gump theme is, but
I was just watching Flight and I haven't finished it yet for the first time. There's no singing during that plane.
That's like one of the few parts of that film that doesn't have a song playing. The rest of that film is a lot of songs.
man, I wish you'd sing like an upside down song. Like
upside down.
Doesn't Jack Johnson have that?
Yes.
Imagine Denzel Washington singing that song while
He
upside
could have,
down.
because he was cool as cucumbers during that whole scene.
He'd be like, "Let's twist again." So sweat bucket for this chapter. Every chapter has a sweat bucket. One of the sweatiest person. I think it's Carlos, and this one I think it's the prisoner sat in front of our buddy Tiger Anderson Jones in front of Blade. He's pretty sweaty when he sits down at the start of the scene. That's my pitch for the sweatiest guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Is
If you like, the guy crosses himself.
he hasn't gotten it yet, so he deserves
Emilio
it that's for
Rivera.
sure.
Yeah.
Is that the guy screaming at Steve Buscemi?
No, that's Tiger Anderson Jones. We've had him a friend of the show, Blade. The guy sat in front of him is a little sweatier,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, let's give it out to someone new.
Yeah, Emilio Rivera, you've won the award. Congratulations. Yeah, so when Blade is screaming, "Shut up, we're all gonna die." We had him on. He said he wanted to play that really angry and like just pissed at Garland Green, but then he did a few like that. But Simon West made him do one like more scared, and that's what they used. And he wasn't happy about that. So
Yeah,
it's one of those characters to be.
I feel like tough guy. Yeah, but it's fun. It's still a funny scene.
Yeah,
he got a line.
It works.
Yeah.
It works. It works. Yeah.
But I mean, it's such a '90s touch though, with villains who sing like that. Like one thing I don't miss are the villains of the '90s. Like I feel like Hans Gruber, Alan Rickman sort of kicked off just this. I mean, there were villains like Rickman before, but I think Rickman really kicked it off into overdrive of just really weird choices for villains or like well-spoken villains. Like that trope was really run into the ground in the '90s. I'm kind of glad we're past that. Like smug villains. I'm glad we're past that. But I do like
pseudo-European.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like Cyrus more though, that I've learned that he's not as sharp as we thought. Like he doesn't have comebacks. Like when Falzone insults him, he blanks. When he's like, "That's clever," like he's not clever. So I like that. I think that adds a new element to him. So yeah. And MC Gainey was a voice in Tangled with Ron Perlman.
Is he one of
the big brothers?
Yeah,
with Paul F. Tompkins, like one of the goons in the bar singing "I Have a Dream," I guess.
He's one of the two that's chasing Flynn the whole time.
Okay,
he's a biker in Wild Hogs.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I think we have to get going, Mark. You've got
Yeah,
it out.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Dylan, any more thoughts on Cornero or this scene as well?
No. I think they were lucky that the Vegas as it is now was in its infancy circa 1995 or 6. So a lot of this just flew right over people's heads. No pun intended.
So apparently, when they were filming it, people on the street were concerned about the plane flying overhead and called the police. So, do you have anything to plug, Dylan? You don't have a podcast or a blog anymore?
You know I don't, Jay. I don't. I plugged the
Sure.
internet.
Okay, you can find the internet online in most places. Mark, any more notes for this scene?
Listen, Swamp Thing MVP, and now I want a fish tank with MC Gainey figures in it.
Well, only you can do that, Mark. I think you can put your Tiger Shark if you want in there.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm still
yeah,
gonna get
go
that
back.
one day, Jay, and it's gonna be horrifying. And it's gonna be a terrible idea.
Yeah, I will never visit. Great. Well, Mark, any plugs? Where can the listeners find you?
Yeah, Movie Songs and Flicks, Movie Songs on FLX. You can listen to that podcast. You can listen to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. We have some new Jurassic Park episodes. We have a Shotgun Wedding episode. We have National Treasure episodes. Jay has a new one up about, my mind just blanked, but I like it a lot.
Empire of the Shark.
Empire of the Sharks. And then let's see. I have some new videos up on Fandom. I have some new videos up on Film Theory. And then I should have some articles coming out on a site I don't want to talk about yet.
So. Sure. And upcoming, well, they should be out by the time this comes out, but future episodes we've got on Deep Blue Sea are Song of the Sea and The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou coming out soon. So look out for those.
With Tony C. Wait, was it The Life? What is it? The something C with Tony C? I like
Tony with the Song of the Sea with Tony C. Tony Kogan of Books Reviews. Sure. And Steve Zissou with Petros Pansilivus. That doesn't rhyme. Doesn't matter. And you can find my writing at leffersfilm.com. Once a month, I still host a thing on the Lambcast. I host Lampardy. It's been on. It's been on roughly once a month, but who knows? And that will do it for Con Air Chapter 36. Thank you once again, Dylan, for joining us.
Thank you.
I've been Jake Lewitt.
And I'm Mark Hoffmeyer.
Come back next week or the bunny gets it.
Sigh.
And Nora.